show, baby. That's what we do.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Inside Leverage Live. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do got a question for you guys. Do you guys know who this is right now? Is playing right now?
What do you mean?
Incorrect. That's strike one. Next. Give me another one.
No, isn't that Samir, the singer?
Nope. French. Come on, bro.
Is that what's his name, man?
Humpty.
No, it's not Humpty Hump. It's not.
Wow, bro.
What's that? What's his man? He's old, man.
He is actually. It's funny you said he is old. Today's his birthday. That's why I'm playing it. It is actually. Let me get Wally back on because he jumped off. Today's his birthday. It is Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane. I was saying uncle because I was confused. Man, I know about it.
The smooth operator, Big Daddy Kane. Shout out, hey, happy 56th birthday to Big Daddy Kane. One of the golden era of hip hop.
Hold on.
Respect.
Big Daddy Kane. Shout out to Big Daddy Kane. Had the dark skinned brothers looking good when the light skinned brothers thought they was doing it. That's another conversation.
Yes, sir. That's another conversation for another day.
Hey,
listen, I see Nate's in backstage. I see him getting his makeup on. Make sure he gets. Yeah, I see him there. Get your makeup on. Get ready. I'm just waiting for everybody to jump on here before we start.
Jets. I said Jets. Here we go.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This week.
Wow. Hey, Chad. Thanks for joining us, buddy. I appreciate that. Let's give Chad Wally a chance to jump back on. Let me add Nate to the stage here. What's up, Nate?
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Good. That's good to know. We'll find out by the end of the show how you feel.
I'm fantastic. I mean, did you guys watch that game yesterday? How could you not be? I mean, this is like the enemy of your enemy is your friend, you know? Like
exactly.
we can all take solace in how bad they looked yesterday. So
yeah, watching Aaron's face yesterday was actually, a blessing to see. He looks a little confused and befuddled.
What he did is he looked old as shit.
He did.
What he did.
He actually did.
He looked old.
So listen, man, we might as well, we're here. Let's get started. Nate Geary from WGR550 is joining us here to talk about, obviously it's Buffalo week I would say Buffalo week, but it's in a couple days. Nate, why don't you tell everybody out there who you are, what you do, a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I do pregame, halftime, postgame for the Bills on our flagship, WGR550 in Buffalo, so the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. And, been covering the team now for, it's crazy because I'm not even that old, but for like almost 10 years now. So, grew up in Hamburg, which is, if you're familiar with Buffalo at all, we're the bordering town of Orchard Park. So, I grew up, played high school football right down the street from the stadium. So I'm a Buffalo guy through and through.
You actually played ball. What position did you play?
I played quarterback.
You're a QB, yeah.
Yeah. Played in college here locally at Buff State, our Division III program.
Makes sense why he hates Tua. It all makes sense.
Whoa. Hates. I've come around on Tua, bro. I've come around on Tua.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You don't remember me, but we gone back and forward. But yeah,
I believe it.
You turned.
I come back around. I defend him now.
Not gonna lie to you. He's come a long pause. He's come a long way from the beginning.
Oh yeah. I was the chief, head of state Tua haters. But one of my best friends is Marcel Louis Jacques. He obviously covers the Dolphins for ESPN, and
yes,
anytime something happens, Marcel, it could be in the middle of a game. My guy's supposed to be working. He'd be on ESPN. He'll just shoot me a text, something like, "Yo, he just got a lot of receipts on me. He's got like old tweets of me talking trash on Tua. He's like, you better watch your mouth because I'm gonna post this receipt on you. You know.
Wow.
And he got a lot.
Yeah, he does. He got too much, if you ask me. He got too much.
Go ahead, Junior.
Hey, Nate, appreciate you for coming through once again.
Pleasure.
Wanted to ask you, we had an affiliate, a fan first, who's a Bills fan, kind of get his thoughts on the state of the union for the Bills. In your perspective, how do you feel about the roster in general and the acquisitions you got so far?
Yeah, so, interestingly enough, I don't think the top of the roster is quite where it's been in the last couple of seasons, right? The Super Bowl window that everybody kind of talks about either being in or being out of, a lot of it, was around the names that were at the top of the roster. The Jordan Poyers, obviously the safety combo, Hyde and Poyer, and then having Tre'Davious White, Milano Edmonds, Diggs, Gabriel Davis. So these are names that across the league people can recognize. And listen, I feel like you guys probably feel the same way about your team. Casuals will say, hey, the Dolphins lost, Christian Wilkins, and they lost Robert Hunt, man. Now their team's trash, right? Because these are names that people around the league that are fans of other teams or just the national landscape, right? It's easy to cling to names that and don't get it twisted. This is a very different football team than probably you guys are accustomed. You guys are going to see names and numbers on the field on Thursday night that you don't recognize. But I do think that they're still probably one of the better teams in terms of just their 53, right? From top to bottom, the last guy on their roster, I think, for instance, their offensive line, I think their second string offensive line could start for a lot of teams in the NFL. So I think from the top of the roster, the names might be different and they may not be household names yet. But I do think from a depth perception, they're deeper at linebacker, they're deeper at defensive line, they're deeper on the offensive line, deeper at corner, and two of the young guys, Damar Hamlin and Jamarcus Ingram, make the play at the end of the game last week against the Cardinals. And obviously everyone knows what happened with Damar Hamlin, but Hamlin's been a sort of project that they've worked on, and now he's starting. So. I think that it's been a developmental process for this team and for this organization. You're seeing a lot of younger players step up into these roles. And that's kind of where we find it. So it may not be the same faces and names and recognition. But I do think overall they're a more complete team than maybe they've been in years past.
For sure. Stability.
Yeah, man. Listen, we talked to a colleague yesterday, and it's kind of disrespectful how you guys it doesn't matter who's starting for you guys or who's out. It's you guys, for the most part, we're 1-8. So it doesn't matter who's starting, but for the sake of argument, there's a lot of turnover in your roster. Who are some guys that we should get it? Hey, listen, get to know that guy. He's in a big impact on this team.
I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. I'm sure you guys all watch football, so I don't got to tell you about Keon Coleman. I was pretty surprised to see him basically lead all rookie receivers this last week in week 1. I was expecting them to have roles or packages for him and really ease him in. But Curtis Samuel has turf toe, so he did not play that much on Sunday. I think he only played 15 or 16 snaps. He's going to be relied upon more as he gets healthier. Dalton Kincaid only had 1 catch. Now, if you guys turn on the film, there were plays where Dalton Kincaid was getting triple and quadruple teamed. The Arizona Cardinals defensive game plan was, we're taking away Dalton Kincaid. And I think that's what the game plan is going to be for defenses until they feel the Bills wide receivers can prove that they can win. And week 1 went a long way into showing that even without a 100% Curtis Samuel, that this wide receiver group, although maybe devoid of that big name, as a whole, as a unit, I think is still very good at separating. Khalil Shakir is the guy to me, though, that if you guys don't know him now, he is one of the most, I think, unique players at the wide receiver position. He has some Deebo Samuel vibes where his contact balance is, you get him the ball, he's a 4-3 guy. but he just bounces off players. Like he had two of his 3 catches where he basically catches at the line of scrimmage, bounces off 3, 4, 5 would-be tacklers. And his playing style, it's infectious. It kind of gets the rest of the team going. That's a guy you definitely should pay attention to. I think he's got, when it's all said and done, is going to lead the Bills in receptions for wide receivers. So that's offensively a name you guys should pay attention to. Defensively, there's a couple of guys that I could probably point to. I probably don't have to tell you about Greg Rousseau. Obviously, he went to the U. He's a Miami guy. He is on the precipice of greatness. I think he could end up being the best defensive player this year for the Bills. I think he's on an all-pro trajectory this year. Really flashed in preseason. If you ask any Bills beat reporter, he was the most dominant player in training camp. And now week 1 gets 3 sacks against the Arizona Cardinals. And it's not like the Cardinals are rolling out there with, the worst O-line in football. Now, Jonah Williams, their starting right tackle, he went down in the game. But Kelvin Beachum has started a lot of games in the NFL, stepped in, and Rousseau just 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. I mean, that is and a forced fumble. Yeah. And he's a specimen. He imagine Chop Robinson, right? With a little bit more he just is like a physical specimen. It's crazy. But the player that I really want to maybe rap with you guys about is Terrell Bernard. Maybe another player that if you're not a casual, you probably have heard the name before. He had better stats last year in his second year as a first-year starter than Patrick Queen did, and did not really get the recognition. I mean, he had 6.5 sacks last year, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, led the team in sacks, led the team in tackles, and is cerebrally one of the smartest instinctual players that you're going to see. When you throw the film on of Bill's defense, the guy just he gets to the ball like he knows what the play is on offense. And it allows the Bills, especially with Noah Milano right now, if they're going to run dime, Cam Lewis, another University of Buffalo player, he ran a lot of that dime package, which is where the Bills had Jordan Poyer last year. So they're going to run small against you guys. Because I think that the weakness right now on offense is definitely the offensive line. And B, the running backs you guys have aren't, big bruisers. It's not like you're going up against Derrick Henry. I think the Bills are going to play smaller with the idea that y'all have the best group of receivers probably in the league. And you're going to want to make sure that you're not getting beat deep. You want to have extra defensive backs on the field and try to, go that route. So Terrell Bernard, Greg Rousseau and definitely Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, man, Rousseau's a monster. And you know what's funny about him? He was an offensive player, and they made him a defensive end. So there's a lot to tap into.
I'll tell you what, it's too bad for the U that Jalen Phillips and him weren't on the team at the same time.
You
because
imagine?
He opted out. He opted out. But
it's crazy.
But the reason he opted, I think they had something going on, because if it wasn't for Rousseau opting out, we would have never heard of Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
You never would have heard of Phillips. So
that's right.
It worked out.
It did work out, but man, if you could have got those guys on bookends, man. Whew.
Nasty. All right, who's next?
I think it's French.
Go ahead, French.
Well, let me ask you this question, and then I appreciate you, Nate. When you talk about this upcoming game and what it means for you guys, and we talk about what it means for the Dolphins as far as locking up the division, we spoke on previous shows with other kind of Bill entities as far as your stretch from the Dolphin game on going into your bye week. This game, I feel, is one of those games where this team really gets up for the game. Specifically, you hear Josh Allen and Bills fans say the Josh Allen gets up for the Dolphins. I feel like this is the day and the week that Tua gets up for this Bills team and wills us to win. What do you think is the one area of concern that you have going into this Monday night game, whether or not it's the coaching, whether it's the scheme, or one of the things I heard from the last week is Josh Allen being Josh Allen to will us back to win. What would you say is your one main area of concern?
Well, listen, anytime you're playing the Miami Dolphins, the area of concern is the ability to stretch the field with speed. I'm Right now, I mean, I think I saw it was like 4 passing attempts, 2 catches last week against the Bills outside corners. I should have mentioned Christian Benford as another name for you guys to keep an eye on, the Bills starting corner. He was a 6th-round pick 2 years ago. Same year, same draft as Kyer Elam, their 1st-round pick, and beat Kyer right out of camp, like as a 6th-rounder from Villanova. The Bills have 2 zone corners in Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford that are, in terms of instinctual zone corners, it's hard to find better guys that just know, like, they understand leverage, but it's not even really about leverage. It's just like, man, they know on certain route combinations, they know cues. They're watching the quarterback is in zone. You know, you get to have your face to the quarterback. You're not turning and running. But anytime you're talking about the Dolphins, first and foremost, it's, can you force Tua to hold on to that football? Because if you can do that, that's really to me, if you can't get Tua to move off of his first read, you're going to have a lot of problems with beating that passing offense. It's just the accuracy, the timing, the precision, especially against zone coverage. I suspect the Bills are going to bring a lot of blitzes, man blitz, zone blitz behind, a lot of simulated pressures, because I think what they are going to want to do is they're going to want to force Tua to get to that second read or take away his hot, right? And say, listen, we know that when we blitz on your play side or the field side, that we need to have Tua turn to his right and throw across his body. So, like, to me, it's the speed, it's the wide receiver group that will always be the biggest concern for me whenever you face the Dolphins. I just think they're such a unique pairing in Waddle and in Hill. But I also think that Mike McDaniel's offense every year starts the season with something new, something innovative. And I'm going to say this. I think the Bills intentionally held some things back offensively. I think that the Dolphins intentionally held some things back intentionally on offense.
Absolutely.
Because they were both waiting for this game. Because these are 2 teams, a great defensive-minded head coach against a great offensive-minded head coach. I know it's maybe not the sexiest part about football. Like, you want to watch the action, you want to watch the throws, the catches, the tackles, but the coaching matchup, I think, is probably under talked about in the league between McDaniel and McDermott. I think it's as good as any matchup against an offensive and defensive coach in the league. It's all about chess. But, like, I remember last year, that sort of went early in the season when they debuted that little quick motion that was killing teams early in the season. And then, teams started to come around. And then, well, really what it was is everybody started stealing it. So it became a little bit easier to defend because every week people are preparing for it. I'm expecting some kind of wrinkle on Thursday night from Mike McDaniel that we did not see week 1. I just, like, I know these 2 teams and they know each other. And I know that they're going to come up with something that they didn't show in week 1 for sure.
It's a chess game at the end of the day, and it is also a copycat league, so that's not surprising. Yeah, that's very, very, very accurate with that statement. Go ahead, Chad.
Earlier, just a few minutes ago, you kind of alluded to Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford's prowess in zone coverage. We know that Teron Johnson's going to be out for this week.
Yeah.
Who's taking his spot in the nickel? And overall, what's the game plan to guarding Tyreek and Waddle? Who do you think is going to match up where? Because we know that's a really explosive duo that we have. So who do you think matches up where, and who's going to be manning the slot?
Yeah, so I'll start with the slot first. Cam Lewis. Cam and DeMar Hamlin probably have the longest time here in Buffalo in Sean McDermott's system. Cam, if you guys probably don't, you'll remember the play, but if you recall the Minnesota game 2 years ago, Justin Jefferson makes that unbelievable catch on 4th down, and the Bills defender's right there to make the play, but Justin Jefferson is just Justin Jefferson, right? He makes that play over Cam Phillips. And, I'm sorry, not Cam Phillips, Cam Lewis. And Cam Lewis, I think in that game, he was taking over for an injured Micah Hyde. And I think he was put in an unfair position. He's a, MAC player, small school, undrafted guy that the Bills developed and was a core special teamer. He's the primary backup at safety, nickel corner, outside corner, and he was their starting dime back going into week 1. So lots of versatility. And sometimes in football, versatility, as much as coaches want you to be versatile, sometimes versatility is a negative because you never get really good at one thing. He might have been the player of the game last week, guys. Taron Johnson goes out in the first drive. He ends up playing nickel. And when they went to dime looks, he bumped in and played linebacker. He had 10 tackles, second on the team. And I mean, Greg Dortch is a really good, shifty slot receiver. Was all over him all game. I was thoroughly, I tweeted after the game. I rewatched it when I got home. And I was like, this dude's all over the field, physical, all the same traits you like about Taron Johnson, which is he's small, he's a nickel corner, but like in a run look, like if the offense is going to run a little bit heavier, you don't really lose anything with Taron Johnson on the field. Like he's a dog. Like he'll get in the box, he'll get dirty, and he'll take on offensive linemen. He doesn't care. And that's what I saw from Cam Lewis. So it was really promising to me to know that, hey, Taron Johnson, if he's not the best nickel corner, he's the second best nickel corner in the league. I really like Trent McDuffie. I think that guy is just insanely good. But yeah, that's going to be the guy that takes over. And I don't think it's going to be just as good as Taron Johnson. Don't get me wrong. But I think the drop off is probably less severe than it would be for other teams losing their nickel corner. And then you mentioned Benford and Rasul Douglas. So this is not a matchup defense. You're not going to see like Douglas shadowing Tyreek Hill. This is going to be lots of quarters, lots of Tampa 2, lots of cover 1, cover. They don't run a lot of single high safety, but they're going to probably exclusively stay in 2 high shell. And you're going to see Douglas stay on one side of the field, Benford stay on the other. And it's all going to be about when they decide to go to man coverage, which is going to be probably when they blitz. Can they make contact? Can they at least get their hands on? And this is the tough part about running a press man against the Dolphins is you can try to, get inside the grill of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but do it at your own risk because you get yourself off balance. You try to get your hands on, make contact with those guys. They can make one move and see you later. You're done. So I think they're going to run a lot of cover 2 shell, a lot of cover 4, sprinkle in some cover 1 and some robber here and there. They did that last year in the first matchup against Tua. They ran a ton of cover 1 robber. And I don't think the Dolphins really prepared for it because the Bills didn't show it a lot. But it basically what it allowed them to do was put Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde in the position of where they thought the first read on every play was. And you can almost see Tua too quickly processing like, okay, there's the robber. Well, okay, now what? So I think a lot of cover 1 robber, a lot of quarters and 2 high safety cover 2.
All right, so I have a question. So I actually have a coworker of mine as a Bills fan, and he is not
a terrible coworker.
Yeah, no, he's actually a pretty cool dude. I can't complain about that.
I hope he watches the show.
Yeah, Jordan. Hey, shout out Jordan. So listen, he's not very confident in this game. Okay, so my question to you is, what are you most confident in heading into this matchup?
History.
Really?
This is
wow.
Recent history.
This is a matchup that I think both. That's funny. The Bills got the Dolphins number, and Josh Allen. Obviously, everyone knows his career stats against the Dolphins. To me, I'm not overly fearful of the Dolphins defense. Now, I know in the second half they turned things around. I think Trevor Lawrence is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. I'm not surprised. Like he had one good throw, and all I saw the last 48 hours online has all been that one throw to Brian Thomas Jr. And I'm like, yo, how come you guys aren't showing any highlights in the second half where they didn't score any points? Here's the thing. I think the Bills can get after the Dolphins. I like their matchup at tight end against their linebackers. And the question that I have is if the plan for the Dolphins is saying we're taking away Dalton Kincaid, I think the Bills were saving a little bit of what they're going to do with Curtis Samuel for you guys. I think the matchups I think the Bills are going to be able to run the ball with ease. And if the Bills can do that, that opens up everything else. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't suspect the Bills are going to be able to put a lot together defensively with the pieces that they're missing and hold you guys to, 14, 17 points. This is going to be like a 34-31, something like that kind of game, 31-30. These games are always typically close, except for the, first game last year. I don't really know what was up with that game, guys. I mean, you guys coming off scoring 70 points and then walking to Buffalo and just absolutely that was the game. If you want to talk about not feeling good about going into a game, I was doing pregame at the stadium talking about man, I'm just hoping the Bills don't give up 50 points in this game. This offense looks unstoppable. But there's something about Sean McDermott and this team. Listen, Dolphins fans, Bills fans, we're good at trash talking each other. And at the end of the day, and maybe you guys don't think this, but I got respect for Dolphins fans. I think a lot of Dolphins fans, they know ball. And when it's not Bills Dolphins, it's pretty amicable. It's not too bad, but it's hey, you got a Bills fan that's a friend during Dolphins week. I got my best friend. I was the best man at his wedding, diehard Dolphins fan. He goes on mute this week because he's you just it's just you put aside friendships, you put aside relationships. You take your wedding ring off for the week. And then you go back to being friendly enemies. There's something about these games. It's not just the fan bases though, guys. It's the players too. It's the coaches. This is, I think, one of the last true bitter rivalries in the NFL. There's not a lot of good rivalries anymore. This is one of them because they're always competitive. And man, Twitter is just a hellscape after these games. So we're gonna get all weekend to talk. Whoever wins, you get Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday to talk shit.
It's insane, man. I am so ready to talk my shit. I can't wait.
I got a lot of off-season bookmarks, though, boys. Just so you know, I got a lot.
I'm sure you do.
Goes to Adam Gase, bro. Goes to Adam Gase, bro. I got lots of VBS, bro. I got lots of fucking receipts for when we get in the.
This should be interesting.
You all lose this game. Just stop by your local Bills Mafia space. It'll be a crash out. And, I'll be the one recording.
And then if the Bills win, it'll be oh man, not again. We can't beat the Bills. We never beat the Bills. Skylar Thompson's the only one that can get close.
I'm taking a sabbatical if we lose, man. I'll be
got to. Yeah.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to bring you guys on the podcast if we win.
That's the way. Hold on. You better ask the last guess what happened. I'm just saying.
Let's run up the numbers. Let's run up the numbers. Let it be. That gonna be our thing now. We pull up with the win.
We had just a little reference. We had Eric Dunn on, his old Viner guy. He's a huge Jaguars fan, content creator, really cool guy. But he was telling us that every time he comes on, I think it was every opener or whatever, he comes on a podcast, he ends up losing. Well, guess what? The streak is still alive. So
well, listen, man. I mean, to be the third team in Florida, it's like being the Giants. It's like being the Giants. You're the third team in New York.
This is. That is crazy on so many levels.
I mean, let's be real. They're London's team, bro.
They're London's team.
That's facts. That is facts. Yeah, Junior, go ahead, man.
That's funny. That's funny.
So Nate, man, appreciate you again for coming through and hanging out with us, man. Big game for both teams to kind of set an example for the AFC East. So, in your opinion, the Bills win if, in your opinion, what do you think?
Bills win if, listen, Josh Allen doesn't, kill them with turnovers, but I also think that conversation gets a little overblown. I mean, he does so much good in the midst of games. I think if they can control the ball, control the time of possession, I think that'll go a long way offensively. But defensively, if they can create pressure looks, and confuse Tua a little bit or force Tua to make quick decisions and throw the football into tighter windows, I think that's their best chance of winning. And for God's sakes, no special teams errors. It feels like every week the Bills are making some kind of big time, special teams error that keeps the game, kind of close. Like last week, The Bills are go up 34-21, I think 34-20. And then they give up a kick return touchdown. And then it made the whole game real tight after that. So no special teams errors, create pressure, make the Dolphins one-dimensional. I also think I like Mike Daniel a lot. He's tended to, especially against the Bills, have success early running the football. This is what happened last year in that week 3 or 4 matchup, whatever it was. They started having success running the ball, like taking big chunks, and then they got behind and they just turned to a different team. The Dolphins kind of trumped that narrative in week 1 by not necessarily becoming super one-dimensional. But I think if you can force the Dolphins and force Mike McDaniel into bad habits of just throwing the ball, that's how you're going to be able to beat them. So, pressure, get some hands in the air. If you don't get the Tua, you're not going to sack them a lot, but you got 6'7", Gregory Rousseau, and get your hands up in those passing lanes, try to bat some balls down. I think those are your sort of best chances for the Bills to win.
Now, a question, and this is going to be a hard one. Dolphins win if, in your opinion?
Dolphins win if they stay committed to running the football, if they can find success, and if they can get big plays. I'll say this. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I think Sean McDermott's numbers in the regular season, not so much the playoffs, there is no defensive coach that does a better job defending Tyreek Hill than Sean McDermott. This goes back to Kansas City. Has the Bills and Sean McDermott have tend to do a great job not letting Tyreek have one of those 7 for 190 and 3 touchdown games. Like they have done a really good job of kind of tempering Tyreek better than I think other teams have. So if you can stop the big plays, or for the Dolphins, this case is get a big play or two. Stay two-dimensional and not try to just become a team that's only going to throw the football. And then defensively, if they can force the Bills to throw the football a lot and get them away from the run, they want to run the football. The Bills want to turn around and get James Cook involved. They want to throw the short dink and dunk passes, get yards after catch. If you guys can stop that, get pressure on, and get your hands up in the air, because let me tell you guys, I don't matter if it's Lawrence Taylor, guys have trouble bringing down Josh Allen. You're probably not going to bring down Josh Allen. So what's the next best thing? Get your arms in passing lanes, try to bat the ball down, try to force him into mistakes. I will say this is going to be the first matchup without Christian Wilkins. And I wasn't a huge fan of Christian Wilkins because I think he did some weird shit, but that dude could get in Josh Allen's grill a little bit. Like he's the only player I've ever seen that really rattles Josh. Sometimes for the worst, sometimes he takes that and uses it as fuel, but sometimes it distracts Josh. It gets him a little bit out of his game. So I don't know if you guys have another player right now that's going to step in that role. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. So it's, try to make the Bills one-dimensional, and try to get a couple of big plays and stay committed to the run game, even if it's, Jalen Wright and, who's the other guy you guys got?
Achan, Mostert.
Well, if those two are out, I don't know if I haven't heard that they're going to be out, but I know that
we don't know yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Jeff Wilson. That's who it is. Jeff Wilson. Yeah.
Jeff Tart. They're playing some games. But Nate, you alluded earlier to becoming, I don't know if a Tua fan or fan is a word, but at least appreciating the athlete. So what changed? What did you see that made you change your perspective?
Well, I think he is in an offense that very few people. It's the same with the Shanahan conversation. It's that everybody thinks because they're great offensive coordinators, Shanahan and I have put Kevin O'Connell in this conversation, that just any quarterback can walk in and run this system. This is a very unique system that is so predicated on timing, anticipation, nuanced level of throwing the ball. But the thing that nobody talks about and what I think has changed with Tua is his confidence. And you have to play with confidence and throw the ball with confidence in this system in order to play it at a high level. So I think for me, it's the accuracy, the confidence that he plays with. I think a really great system that's built specifically for his skill set. But the biggest area to me of growth, I think, is not making the really bad mistake. And now it still pops up from time to time, but it felt like early on in the Brian Flores era and then the first year with McDaniel that there were just these moments of like lapsed judgment where it was almost like he couldn't help himself but to try to make a throw that he shouldn't make. His understanding of his own limitations as a thrower are his greatest strength because he stopped making those, I'm going to hold on to the ball, and then throw it down the field. He's not that type of thrower. He can get the ball in the air 60 yards, but he's got to do it on time and in rhythm, because if he tries to hold on to the ball and then tries to unleash it, that's when, he's leaving him short. He puts the ball up for grabs. So it's just his understanding of his own weaknesses and playing to those or playing away from those weaknesses that I think have turned him into, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Respect.
That's fair, man.
That's exactly what it is.
Can't be upset with that.
Yeah, it's the same thing happened with Josh Allen, bro. Josh Allen, played within himself. The first 2 years were not pretty. That throw he made to a fullback, a terrible decision. But then what happens? He's been dominating the AFC East since he got it right. So it takes time, man.
Yeah, and the thing with Josh too, and it's sort of the same conversation with Tua, is like Josh has all of the tools. I mean, he has the arm. He is showing more and more that he can play a game like Tua, where there is some timing and rhythm, and he can take. It doesn't always have to be the fastball. He could throw the changeup. He could throw the curveball. Like, he's got some different levels of throws in him. I'm gonna tell you this, guys. Listen, this is coming from somebody who was a big skeptic. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Bills got rid of Diggs. They're going to be better for it." I'm like, yo, he is one of the best receivers in football. But I don't know if you guys have ever played football and you ever played with a really good player that's a me guy. It can be really hard for quarterbacks, even a quarterback as great as Josh Allen. Like, I think about this with like T.O. And how like Steve Young and T.O., like the me guys tend to wear down everybody else. And I think they didn't say it, but like there's little tidbits in interviews, like Deion Dawkins talk about like, them playing freer and not feeling like they're walking on eggshells. Like, these are things they might as well just be saying, we don't got to deal with Diggs anymore. And I think that you could see Josh Allen have his best season this year as a thrower because he doesn't feel like every play, if I don't get Diggs involved, then he's going to be demonstrative on the sidelines. He's going to be throwing. He's going to showing me up. Dude, that drop that he had against Kansas City, he stands up and walking back to Josh Allen saying like this, like it was on Josh. Josh put it 70 yards in the air in his breadbasket and he drops it. It's just stuff like that where there is a different vibe with this team right now. And listen, they don't have a Tyreek. They don't have a Jalen Waddle. But what I do think they have is guys that fit specific roles. And when you got a player like Josh Allen, when you got a player like Mahomes, you can sacrifice some of the talent on the outside because those guys you're going to get the best of those players because of the quarterback you got. You know what I mean? And this is also say this about Tua is a lot of people say, well, he's got Waddle, he's got Tyreek. That's true, but those are players that he's lifting up and making better. Listen, I don't have numbers in front of me to tell you and sit here and like point to some analytics about Tyreek Hill being better in Miami than he was in KC. But I'm going to tell you that the way that he's used and the way that I think it's a perfect offense for Tyreek. And I think he's the perfect quarterback for Tyreek because of how nuanced and how well he can throw those deep balls. So it's the same conversation. It's if Tyreek walked off the bus and was in Las Vegas, go ask Devontae Adams how good he'd be playing. So I do think that this is a conversation that goes both ways. It's not just Josh Allen picking up receivers that, maybe aren't household names, but it's also Tua helping two receivers play their best football. And I think it's the same conversation.
We gotta put that on Twitter, edit it, and this man right here.
You're breaking up right now.
He was cooking.
Go ahead, Chad.
Go ahead, Chad.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute, I should say. Earlier, you kind of alluded to it being a higher scoring matchup. Are you comfortable giving a score prediction? You have Buffalo winning, I assume.
Dolphins win.
I like the Bills. Yeah, I think like 31-30, 31-27, something like that. I do think what's going to end up happening, though, is the Bills are going to try to take the air out of the ball. Bills are going to try to have those 10, 12, 13 play drives, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and try to chew up clock, keep the ball out of the hands of the Dolphins offense. If they could do that successfully, it shortens the game, and I think it puts a little bit of pressure on the Dolphins to score with them rather than control the pace. That's really where I think the Dolphins are super dangerous, is if they are controlling how you're going to play, the pace of play, they can get out to an early lead. That's really where I think they become the most dangerous. So I think the Bills are going to try to take the air out of the ball. You would think because of that it would be a lower scoring game, but I think both these defenses are going to have a tough time stopping. So I think both teams are going to make do and make good with the possessions they have. So give me 31-27 Bills.
Wow, such a homer score.
No.
Such a homer score.
Says y'all, all you guys are going to pick the Dolphins. Get out of here.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, you know,
I mean, I'm about wearing Bills color.
I got before we get out of here, I got one more question for Nate. Listen, man, I need some help, bro. Like, how do you get your hair so like?
What?
I need a little help there, man.
Friends too.
Listen,
Can you recommend anything like men's club or something?
You don't got the mentions, Chad. We can mute this conversation, Chad.
listen, man. It's called Northeast White Boy. You'll notice. I mean, I got some real light skin, man. Like the sun don't hit very hard up here in the north for very long. So.
Hey,
All right, man. Go ahead, French. It's on you now, man.
Nate, I'm gonna end it with this, Nate. I got I got a bit of an opinion. I'm gonna go with maybe a 33-10. I predict the Buffalo offense goes scoreless the first half. You mount up an effort the second half. I say that to say, I know you say that Josh Allen gets up for the Dolphins, and that was kind of the mantra. But this defense that we're seeing with Ramsey and some of these other guys, what do you think about a possible upset? What do you think that narrative says going into the next following week?
Listen, my prediction is that it's going to be a close game. It's probably going to come down to the last possession. That's how the last couple of games have gone, short of week 3 last year. But I look at the Dolphins defense, and that's where I see opportunities for the Bills. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Brooks. I just didn't really. I thought he was overdrafted in college by Seattle. And I think there's some areas in the middle of that defense where the Bills could take advantage. If that defense does not triple and quadruple team Dalton Kincaid, you guys are making a mistake. He can single-handedly win a game. I think he's that good. He hasn't had that big game yet. It said a lot to me to see all 22 footage of 4 players standing around Dalton Kincaid. That to me says week 1, you had all offseason to prepare for this game. You had all training camp, all preseason. And in week 1, you went in that game and saying, let anybody else but Dalton Kincaid beat us. I assume that's what you guys are going to try to do too. But I like the matchup with Knox and Kincaid against you guys as linebackers. And I think if the Bills are going to have an opportunity to get at Ramsey, it's going to be right now with, the hamstring not being 100%. This is probably their time to take advantage of that. And I'm a big Jordan Poyer fan. That dude's.
Don't say it.
He's old and he's slow. He's old and he's slow.
All right, ladies.
He is old and he is slow.
Wait. It's funny. No, wait a minute. That's funny. It's funny. He said I was going to ask that question. Do you guys miss Jordan Poyer?
All right. That's the pick 6. Hey.
No,
statement.
Just for old time's sake, Josh will throw him one.
They were protecting him last year by putting him in the linebacker role because he just did not have the foot speed anymore on the back end. And listen, he's a player that has met a lot to the Bills organization, especially this group. Leader, physical leader, but emotional leader. And people here in Buffalo love Jordan Poyer. But it was. I thought he was going to retire. I know Micah Hyde retired. Both those guys towards the end were they just don't have the foot speed anymore. I was watching Jordan Poyer and I'm like, man, I should suit up. I can run just as fast as this dude.
Wow. These shots are being
That's crazy.
We gonna see. We gonna
see. You know what though? That is crazy. If you guys saw me run, you'd be like, yo, what are you talking about, man?
Daddy, chill.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
All right, man. Listen, last thoughts. We want to let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm at Nate Geary Sports on Twitter. That's really where I do most of my, trash talking and engaging. I'm always down to engage with Dolphins fans. Like I said, although I don't like you guys for 14 days of the year, I some of my best online buddies, Nick Hicks and I are good buddies. I got a lot of good buddies in Dolphins Twitter. And I'm always willing to engage outside of those 14 days a year. So,
all right, man. That was.
Be on the lookout for these tweets because they're coming in hot.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah, we'll make sure everybody follows this guy, man.
When we get that pick six, man. But yeah, man. Nate, appreciate you for your time.
Appreciate you,
brother.
Yeah,
boys. Appreciate you having me. Thanks for being so cordial.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, brother.
You too, boys.
Thanks.
That was great.
That was good. That was great.
Yeah, man. A lot of good information from Nate.
Once again, I carry the show. Once again.
Yeah.
What carry? What show? What are you talking about?
That's what I do.
It's what you do.
Hey, very, very interesting stuff. I was expecting a little bit of more fireworks there, but
what happens is, it's some people are different people outside of Twitter. They have when you have an intellectual conversation. Sometimes you might want to get into a conversation in Twitter for the sake of trolling, and maybe here we want to have a real opinion, and that's probably what it is. Because on Twitter you can talk mad trash, but here we talk ball, man. And
man.
It was a great perspective, man, especially that Tua question.
I like the challenge. I like the challenges he presented with the linebackers. I know Bernard is a guy we talked about, that the young developing guy. He's looked better. We always said that he's been a guy who's cerebral mentally and just reacts real well. So that, and then they have the Dorian Williams, who in his second year, upside, very fast linebacker. So
Jordan, listen, enough of the pleasantries, all right? Enough. Jordan Poyer pick six, all right?
Oh, that's a fact.
And French, I needed more bass in your voice when you said that score. I ain't think that was you. You want to be nice and stuff, pump your chest in meetings, and when you got the ops over here, you don't say nothing. You want to be a nice guy, all right? When you want to steal like tapes, you want to do all that and all that, but when you got the ops, you was over here like,
he offered him coffee, man. He offered the oppa coffee.
You want to have a seat? You good? You ate your sugar, your coffee? Like, come on, man.
Would you like a Danish with that coffee?
I was expecting if you think the chalk gallon is 50,
I don't know what it was. I was waiting for that.
So you think you're a tough guy?
We told him we gave him the A goal to be himself, and look at him.
Hey, yo, Chad, that's correct. Where was the 50-50 comment?
No, he had nothing.
You know what, fellas? I have something special planned.
No. This is what you do. This is what you do all the time.
It's special plan.
This is what you do. Oh my God. This is what you do all the time.
Follow me on Twitter.
Yo, what does he remember? Does this not sound like the list? Does this not sound like the list? Does this not sound like the list? You're not going to do it again. It sounds like the list. No.
Hey, Coach, give me that one more time.
Get him out the show, Coach. Get him out the show, Coach. He's terrible.
I got him.
Hey, Coach, man. I don't want to talk to French.
Josh Allen and his 50-50 balls. I got something planned on the timeline after the game. Stay tuned. Now you want to talk? No,
we're going unhinged. You're unhinged, right? Coach, give me the commercial.
Say hi to the little one back there, man.
Give me the commercial, Coach. Give me the commercial.
Well, oh, Lord. You see, I've always believed.
15 following the penalty. Tua swings it out. Speaking of fast, how about Tyreek Hill?
You see, I've always believed.
Hill inside the 20 and then finally chased down.
Oh, yeah.
He's 12 of 16.
Give it.
Lay on the block. Go, he's got him.
Coach, stop my music.
Touchdown. Oh, he smoked him.
You see, I've always believed.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You know I always got it.
Yo, Toba!
Yo, 2 days, 48 hours, boys. We're going to find out a lot about this team early on. I don't know about y'all, but I am jacked the fuck up. I can't wait.
Let's go. And listen, be on the lookout for that merch. We got the new Reach shirts, man. You know they're dropping like flies, man. Hey, shout out to the boys who are out there, man. Respect to the boys out there, man. The support, we appreciate y'all, man. Keep following our content, man. Man, love,
I said
man.
it first.
You did not say it.
Hey, man.
Go ahead, Chad. I can't cut you off, boy. Go ahead.
Yo, baby, that's it.
You can't even hear this guy, bro.
Pick six, man.
Peace!
Pick six.
Vince, baby.